How's it going?
I'm all right. How you doing? Good afternoon, Woolie.
Good afternoon.
And
Uh,
good afternoon to you all, or good evening, or good morning, or whenever the fuck you're listening to this. All of our wonderful listeners
Generic
who did,
greetings
who
for
did not commit terrorisms over the past week.
okay. Now the broad definition of terrorism can include um, lots of things. Sometimes you download a car.
Occasionally, you download a car for a little baby terrorism.
And sometimes you park a vehicle full of explosives near the Capitol. But hey,
It's all in the same
folder.
region.
Yeah,
That downloading a car shit though, that's crazy.
yeah.
I
No
didn't
one's
think we were there yet.
no one's really talking about the parked van. It's kind of weird.
You mean the thing I didn't know about until you just said it?
No one's talking about the parked van full of crazy shit. It's a bit wild how things came and went so quickly that the escalated parts, like, hey, they found a bomb and a van full of weapons and a ton of Molotov cocktails and unbuilt Molotov material and a van parked 2 blocks away.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of nuts because I'm like, where's the stories come on? Nothing. All
Well,
right.
it's been a fairly dramatic week.
There's a
Also,
lot.
I think my brain might actually be melted.
Mm-hmm.
As I just actually typed into Google, I was like, oh, I'll look up what Willie's talking about while he's talking about it. And I actually just typed in parked van full of crazy shit
Yeah. Yeah.
instead of,
Yeah.
like a
You
real
might as
set
well.
of search terms.
You might as well.
The unglorious realities of living van life hashtag. Yeah, I don't think that's what you were
That's
talking
not
about.
it. That's not it. No. But anyway, it was just I'm like, yeah, there's stuff that should probably be spotlighted a little bit more when you're talking about the intent of the day. And yeah,
I
I'm
tell you
like,
what, though,
hmm
feels really good to be able to talk about this on my social media platforms that I'm totally not banned from. Doesn't that feel great? Oh. Mm.
yeah. To quote, I believe Tim Dillon. Wow, things are really heating up out there, says the man tweeting from his yacht. Yeah,
Mhm.
says the billionaire tweeting from his yacht.
I saw a variation
It's
of this,
really
which
they're getting rowdy out there.
no, no, it's
uh,
I'm a big fan of the way that Jim Sterling keeps posting the fucking start of that fucking music video. I forgot, was it by the Bee Gees or whatever? It's been one
yeah, yeah,
week,
yeah, yeah.
and it's been, hey,
It's been
20.
1 week. Yeah,
Did everybody enjoy their 2020 December 32nd memes? I remember we got it was either an email here or it was a fucking Twitch message somewhere. Someone was like, "Wow, I can't wait for 2020 to be over." Woo! And I'm like, that means nothing,
time is
right?
not real. Time is fake. Time is
Time
fake.
is
Never forget.
social construct here, people. It's
Don't
not a real
ever
thing.
ever forget that time is fake. Yeah. No, and another friend of mine put together a thought that was just something echoing like the idea that it's like, man, I'm getting exhausted of sitting and watching history go by. Uh, person says to themselves that hasn't left their house in 5 months. You know,
Yeah. I
like,
think I think I think my favorite breakdown of total events was like 2020. At least it can't be this bad in 2021, and then 2021 is, do the people do the insurrectionists, did they forget about the plague?
oh yeah, yeah,
Did they? Guys, I know you guys want to do all that shit with the government, but did you forget there's a plague going on?
Well, then no, but it's not real.
Oh,
so those two go hand in hand. Yeah, there's Sleeping Squidward 2021, and then there's Woke Squidward 2020 WON.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, well,
now that we have that out of the way,
do we?
Do we? I don't know. Man, I tell you what.
This is history. You know what? This is legitimate history. Where like someone is gonna have a textbook in grade 9 in the future, and they're gonna have to memorize and report on the date that the president was banned off of social media for rousing people up into a storm
little
of the
Jimmy
Capitol during legislation.
Little Jimmy is going to open their history book, and in the history book they're going to look in, and there's going to be a photo, and there's going to be some screenshots of some memes, and then they're going to be like, why is it so funny that the president lost his OnlyFans? And then they'll have to explain to the child what the OnlyFans was. And then they'll flip the page, and then they'll be like, now I don't understand. Is this why I can't say poggers anymore?
Yeah, I think the upgrade from like that thing that your friends used to like plan parties and otherwise like just do hot or not, essentially, that you know that was super optional and mostly annoying at the beginning is now the thing that is like a major conversation platform that kind of is a place where literally policy is announced, you know? And it just, yeah, like it's very, very strange to kind of realize in a way that like through this week and all the bannings and the Parler stuff and the everything going on with Apple and Google, that like once upon a time, like websites existed on the internet and like you just made them and then you would go there or not, and you know that was kind of it in a way, but like that never went away. But picking up your phone and using that to get to stuff faster is kind of now perception has made that feel like that's the only way to access information, even though it's like it's just the fastest way to do it. It's not the only way to do it. Does this make any sense?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's just it's kind of like weird because, you know, once upon a time even websites were fancy and people were just connecting on fucking BBS and shit, you know, and there was always just like, okay, so these phone lines can have different ways of exchanging information, and you can pick which one you want to use, but like now the one that we're all most commonly used to out of convenience, the convenience makes it feel like there's no other option in a way.
You know, you like, I mean, before we go any further, and what I genuinely feel is a really interesting discussion, and I'm glad to have it, I would like to respond to the gentleman in the corner, desperately not trying to piss his pants, upset that their pop culture video game podcast is broaching subjects that would be considered
we've moved past
modern politics.
They're gone. They're already gone.
No, they're not. I can guarantee you.
Yeah,
they're
but
not.
Well, no, they're not actually back. They're just hearing about this part and they're getting mad that it's still there.
Yeah.
But we're past that point, dude.
To those folks that have time-stamped this and come to say hello, current events have become quite blatant in the plague era.
Untenable?
No. Like, current events are not minor happenstances. They are massive, sweeping things. If, I don't know, Quebec was currently being invaded by the Russia, I would probably talk about it on my stream. And so on and so forth.
Yeah, sure.
And the bonus to that is that every time that you and I have this kind of discussion, or I'm sure you've retweeted some things, and then people, the keyboard war continues. It has never been easier to find out who you should block from pieces of social media. It has never been a faster process.
Mm-hmm.
I broke down the steps the other day, which was disagreement, but reasonable tone, despite their weird position. Then you grab your mouse and you click on their name, and you scroll one mouse scroll down, and you go, oh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you move to the upper right and you click on the block button. It's like literally every single time. It's hilarious. It's hilarious.
Well, yeah, because there's a difference between simply existing in a space where you don't actually have to form an opinion. You're just throwing counterpoints at someone who's stating what they believe in, versus doing the dangerous, terrifying thing of stating what you believe in and then having to actually defend that, because by cementing something, that makes you vulnerable. But if you never actually do that, if you just float on the border of the topic and just say what you disagree with ultimately, but never really cement like where that comes from, you can nebulously move from spot to spot and sniper perch to sniper perch, never actually having to commit to anything that'll make you vulnerable. It's a very convenient internet position to have.
Is it all? But what about this? Just fuck off. How about that? All right, so now that I've said my fun little piece so that I don't have to say it later, I will probably totally have to say it later. Let's get back into it. Social media is the devil. It's ruined everything. We should all go back to nature.
Become monk.
Yeah, fuck it.
Okay, but what about monk plus Twitter? Monkeys with Twitter. How about it?
I'm pretty sure I have seen a gimmick account. I mean, there's the birds' rights activist, which is the bird version. I mean, if you follow Nyanners on Twitter, that's probably halfway there.
I don't think I do.
You know what? I have a really good example for how social media has failed us. I'm going to use YouTube as an example, but everybody knows that Facebook and Twitter and such have been complicit in allowing this kind of nonsense to be promoted and disseminated to everybody. A year ago, I was browsing on my YouTube recommends, and I was looking at game reviews. I was looking like Angry Centaur Gaming, who does fantastic stuff. I was checking out some Skill Up stuff, etc. And I forget the guy's name, but he does this really good YouTube series where it's like an X series wasn't killed, it was murdered. And he goes into the breakdowns of like the fucking horrible studio mismanagement behind like what killed certain games or what fucked up certain releases. And I had been watching that for a while. And then eventually, in the corner of my YouTube recommendations, I saw some, God, I forget the fucking name of it, but it was phrased as the truth about, and it was some popular video game. and I thought that it was going to be like a review breakdown. But it wasn't. I clicked on it, and within about 5 seconds, realized that it was, did you know that those people are ruining your video games? And I went, oh, fine. And then I clicked off of it and thought nothing of it. My recommendations on YouTube became fucking tainted for weeks. I was being recommended every fucking psychotic political conspiracy theory fucking shit because I accidentally clicked on one fucking video.
Oh yeah, that happened to me on the VTube wave. I clicked on a VTuber video and then my fucking algorithm went, "Oh shit, you're in, buddy."
This is all you want, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, God damn it, guys. Stop
that. Anyway, I mean, intelligent discourse is surely taking place somewhere.
Not here.
Not here.
Oh, fuck no.
But there is something interesting to the fact that like there's a question, a really simple one, where it's like, hey, should we moderate death threats? And that divides opinion, and and interestingly, that same division of opinion is literally the difference between America and Canada.
Yeah, I was about to actually like
it's
I'm
the
trying to
actual
be extra,
border difference between them and us.
I'm trying to be like extra. What's the word? I'm sorry. You go on.
Yeah, no, I'm just pointing out that like it causes such a discussion because like it's a major point of our country's policy up here in a way, but like the concept of like and then you have to get down to the basis of essentially infringing on others versus the freedoms of the self, and then where you spiritually, not even philosophically, but like spiritually land on that,
Yeah, we've got a large American audience. Hello, Americas. How you guys doing? Hope you're doing all right. But there is a significant legal, ethical, and moral difference between the two countries. We're obviously, as Woolie mentioned, a Canadian podcast, and the free speech laws are different here. It's more of a freedom of expression thing, which the biggest difference is that hate speech is explicitly not covered under any circumstance. And there's all sorts of little pieces in there that are more specific. In particular, there's a Holocaust denial a rule on the books that, to my knowledge, basically was invented and keeps getting thrown out of court and put back into court based off of a singular university professor.
Yeah.
So keeps breaking it. And then like technically beating it, and then they change it to get him again.
So I like to look at every at individual issues and decide how I feel about them, as opposed to just wrapping myself in any form of blanket. And I can say with that there's a lot about our laws that I personally don't agree with or like. And I think that like there is a gulf of like specificity you can choose to categorize like hate between the term hate speech and like everything that fits into that's a broad category. But I think when you get you can get much more specific and look at something like death threats, like I said, and go like, well, this is the like reddest zone of this entire folder, And to me, I think that that's something that is a very black and white, like, yeah, no, that sucks. You shouldn't have to deal with that. And people who like behave that way and or potentially are dead serious about that type of shit should not be suffered, right? So that's one part where, by going overboard on where I think it should be, they happen to cover where I think it should be. But I also realize that living in a nation of millions means the line will never be where your personal comfort point is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, society is compromise.
You mean the society that we live in?
Yes, exactly. We happen to live in one. So, for the way Canada works, I would like to see hate speech laws a little less extreme, but they do need to be above fucking nothing. And and we're seeing some of this discussion play out right now below us.
I think it's a slightly different conversation they're happening right now.
They're having a lot of conversations, but
speech seems to be, I mean, I'm looking from a distance, but speech seems to be the second conversation they're having right now.
Exactly, right? But the thing about it is that because again, we're human beings and you don't always wrap yourself in the blanket, and like, in fact, mostly idiots do when it comes to just like determining what they believe of their what they're being told to believe, or what your policies are, whether you're left or right, or authoritarian or more libertarian, or whatever the case is. But when it comes to, like, for example, how do you feel about fucking storming the Capitol? There's people that are like, well, I should be leaning with everybody who's right on this, but that obviously seems too fucking far. I'm not going to agree with that. That shit's crazy, right? There were those who said that. And in the same way, now when they're like, hey, we're doing a massive, there's this massive cleansing going on because, like, social media is banning a ton of accounts, not just Trump, obviously, but a lot of other people.
I thought they said they couldn't do that.
Right, and Facebook, and then everything else, and then
too hard.
And then run the bit about, like, TikTok banned Trump before Trump banned TikTok, and so on. But all that to say that there are people who are like, going, okay, well, that's cool. And then there's people that are going, that's cool, but I'm also kind of nervous about, like, the idea of, like, oh, fuck, the tech oligarchy can do whatever it wants in this way and stuff. So you kind of look at it you look at it from a standpoint of, like, all right, what's justified and what does it imply and what does it mean in the grand scheme of things? And like I said, there is both discussions happening.
These are all, like, I mean, they're all interrelated. They're all obviously all different conversations.
Yep.
The tech oligarchy thing is in particular, it's two conversations.
Mm-hmm.
The first of which is, like, you guys seem to, like, totally let a bunch of people plan a bunch of terrorism right out in the open. That seems really fucked up and ignorant.
And now that everyone went, what the fuck are you doing? You're using bad faith arguments to try and go, hey guys, no, now it's time to, like, ignore that bad stuff. And hey, what about the unity? Remember that? Right?
Yeah.
When you get called out for it.
To continue, so part one is, you guys just let a bunch of people break the law / your own rules because of reasons. And then part two is, while I do believe that this is a course correct to your own explicit rules, it does give the worry that basically, like, 10 dudes have a stranglehold on international, if not global, communication. Which, I mean, that one's a lot more complicated, because Twitter's an American company, which means it's the Americans' deal to deal with it, I guess, right? So if there was a Canadian Twitter, it would be our thing. There's a fucking, China has, like, a bunch of social media apps, and they're all fucking nightmares, right? etc. Right? But it's the kind of situation where maybe, and this is just a big maybe, having a totally unregulated, completely free market with no anti-monopoly protection might not have been the best idea if you didn't want a tech oligarchy that could control your communication.
Which
maybe,
but from the sounds of it, the like the CEOs of these 10 people, as you say, like the CEOs of these companies are also realizing and trying to wing it. Every time they get interviewed about these types of things and policies, there's always an answer that is much less certain and more like, yeah, we're kind of trying to figure it out, and I guess we'll see, you know? That's been the tone. Like every time they've interviewed Jack about this type of stuff, it's always been that type of tone. Zuck.
I gotta say, I fucking hate that people refer to the CEO of fucking Twitter on like a fucking first name basis.
That's his at.
Fuck him.
Well, too bad.
Jack Dorsey uses full fucking name because he's not some guy. He's the fucking CEO of a major corporation.
Hey, man.
He's not your buddy.
So are there people that
Hey, Mark, how's the F books?
So wait, hold on. Are there people that should refer to you as Patrick?
What do you mean?
Is there a level of distance that should apply to?
Yeah, no, I'm saying if I was the kind of person who would get pulled in front of a fucking round table of senators to answer questions about my company, I'm not, oh, hey, it's Pat. No, it's, hey, that's Patrick Boivin, the content creator. Yeah, like, this fucking I hate it.
Dude, it's such a non-point. It's like, whatever. It's the fucking syllables that refer to the person. Like, who cares? It's nothing.
Like, it's this weird, like, friendliness with this fucking person that I can't stand.
What are we doing? Are we doing the fucking, should it be Dorsey-chan? And Jack is too close and too intimate. Is it too intimate to use the?
It's so like, fucking so stupid.
It is stupid. What are we doing? Anyway.
But to continue on, it's like it's this weird thing of like, well, you've got a tech oligarchy, so what do? Well, you can have the government break those companies up. You can have the government label certain forms of communications as utility and nationalize them, or you can attempt to put in some kind of regulatory practices, or you can let the free market decide. And the political ideology, particularly of those responsible for the current going-ons, would view probably all of those as unacceptable.
Well, yeah, every step towards less control is not something that a given corporation would want. Furthermore, the utility aspect turns it into like, well, if you're turning this into water, then you have to step in and run it like water.
Yeah. Now, personally, I don't think anybody wants forms of internet communication to be nationalized.
Yeah.
Especially American tech companies being nationalized by the U.S. to people that are not in the U.S.
There's also something
fuck that.
There's also something super weird about the fact that, like, so we're currently all on Twitter. This is where we've landed, but
I have landed on Twitter, yes.
But we've jumped ship a bunch of times in different ways on social media. And things that have been thriving have vanished entirely. Populations have migrated. Like, the idea that, like, the current moment now is where you step in and go, this is water. We're turning Twitter into water. It's like, well, this just happens to be the platform that is one that, like, regulated characters and You know what I mean? It shortened how many words you can say, so then it became popular through to that.
Maybe some common sense rules that would be broadly applicable, but specifically regulated, would be able to help this kind of situation. So you can have rules like if you're walking by a bodega and somebody's playing the new Rihanna track, that you go to jail. That's a good start.
If you hear it,
And we can go from there.
Monsanto rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I hear you. Fair enough. But anyway, no, I'm just, what I'm and by the way, I do see and I notice and I acknowledge your very astute switch over to mention a bodega as opposed to a dépanneur.
Well,
so you want to get the you want to reach those listeners.
I'm not going to jail for walking by a dépanneur that has music playing out of it.
You want to reach those listeners right in their home neighborhoods with their bodegas that we're so familiar with up here in French Canada. Anyway, yeah, no. Twitter happens to be where we are right now, right? And then on top of that, Twitter happens to be the format that is like the most incendiary by nature, because this is the fastest and closest we've ever gotten to mind reading. Because a tweet is a thought.
Actually, I would say that there was a platform slightly more incendiary, but I would have said that 12 hours ago.
Sure, fine, yes. And on that note, like if we can just like, you know, wheel the fucking cart a little further down the street for a second. I was, you know what I was infinitely more surprised by how many people were not aware of what was about to go down, because it had been super publicized everywhere that, you know, they gather. And for months now, prior to the election even, I had been following just to see, because I want to understand. I want to see, like, there's moments of like grand delusion that I see that make no fucking sense to me. And I want to understand how people process this to digest it for themselves. So there's a subreddit called Ask Trump Supporters, where you'd see people ask questions and then supporters would answer with what they believe and why. And then you can ask follow-up questions. So there would be discussions that would ideally lead to someone who is like converting this into their mind. Like they can explain the process as it happens in a way, right? And then in addition to that, after the Donald got kicked off of Reddit, there was the Donald.win, which is a just open forum that existed where, again, openly, very blatantly, and very loudly, there were like, yup, grab the ammo box, boys. We're getting ready for January 6th. And
well, I can tell you the answer to your question, which is how come people didn't notice. I'm going to go look at my Twitter. I'm following 243 people.
And you hit refresh, and your feed shows you those people's feeds.
That's artists, some pals, a lot of YouTubers, et cetera, voice actors.
And I was having this discussion with Reggie. Yeah.
Like, those are people that I like. That's why I follow them.
Yeah.
And while I will sit here and say possibly a bunch of stupid, ignorant shit about Banjo-Kazooie or whatever, and then say with genuine reality, I actually do want to understand what people like about this, or a music, or a movie, or what have you, right? I don't particularly find it to be a good use of my to stick my head into a bucket of shit and ask an asshole why he keeps pooping.
Okay. So that is totally reasonable, and that represents most people not wanting to waste their time. And I would say that on top of that general feeling is the, this, what the social dilemma brings up, in that, like, it's also going to just feed you back your surroundings, and you're not going to really encounter anything that leans too far outside of that for the most part. So, looks like a corpse. Anyway, never mind that. When you encounter this stuff I'm describing, you have to seek it out, because it's not going to be inside of the box that your feed is pushing at you. And when you're refreshing your updates and your news, you're not going to see that there either. But that's the precise reason why I seeked it out. I really wanted to know, and it's the type of thing that I find helps me understand more, because I'm infinitely curious about these types of moments. I've oftentimes described how much I love Shutter Island because of its concept and what it represents in a way, I like seeing that process go down, but I also like, trying to understand what the most rational person among you would be saying in these circumstances. So all that to say that amongst that was a whole lot of irrational and a very, very loud call that shit was going down on the 6th, right? So, that taking people by storm was a little bit surprising, not because I expected most people to be on top of it, but there are others who do go in and do report on that stuff. And there are accounts and Twitters and pages where they're like, hey, I browse Parler, so you don't have to. Or, a couple other places like that. And like some of those places didn't really catch it either.
The short answer is that the people who are paid to pay attention get those reports and whatnot and just don't pay attention.
I suppose. Well, anyway, that time's done, and we're past that point. But yeah, it was written in the sky, loudly and very alarmingly so. And it wasn't just written with a giant font too, but like some of the most insane straight up calls for murder were massively upvoted, and like you would see a number next to them, next to some of the craziest takes that was like, yeah, a couple thousand people loved that. So you're like, this is not just you would see the strength of the statement and the strength of the crazy, at the same time. It's this
thing of like, you could easily say, and I would say you would accurately say, that level of insanity is fringe. However, when you're dealing with a really big thing, fringe is big. It's really actually pretty fucking big.
You scale it upwards, right?
Yeah. Everybody knew. There was all like we went to fucking we went to college together. Obviously, people know this, but I remember we were next to Etc. You remember that? My pals. We were right
Club
next
space.
to Etc.,
Yeah.
which was the LGBTQ plus. Well, at the time.
It stopped at Q.
Yeah.
I had the discussion. Group. It stopped at Q at the time. Yeah.
I remember having an argument with a guy in there because he was a fucking asshole. He was the fringest asshole I had ever met in my entire college fucking experience, because his ideal world was to get rid of the breeders.
Right.
Like, he was that guy.
Mm-hmm.
But he was one dude.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have a fucking giant fucking support network and
to find other like-minded
fucking social media service where he could find people that thought like him, etc.
Yeah. So you scale it upwards, and you start to see the power of those numbers, and it gets a bit fucking nuts, because you're like, well, that is a completely off the reservation thought process, not even thought process, but like fucking conclusion. and this is the part where you would expect to see like this post deleted by a moderator or whatever the fuck, but it's like nah, like it's people in the sub thread detailing like what the best method of attack would be, you know, or even getting into okay, so we all know that like war sucks and
we do know that. That's an important one.
Yeah, and like so there's people that are like straight up going like we all know that war sucks and this is an awful thing to be in and no one really enjoys it, but quite frankly, if we're going to go this road, we have to be sure about it, you know? And people then like to cite that either they know or they're related to someone with X years of service, and they can get those people to stand behind them and ba-da-da-da-da, and, you know, get to your local militia and ba-da-da-da-da. And like the level of discussion goes into the, not just the random asshole saying I'll fucking kill you death threat, but then it goes into the like logistics of how we're going to do it type of thing. And I'm just like, yeah, this is here. This is what it is. It's just it's sitting right there and it's upvoted. It's on the front page, you know? Anyway.
I see it. It's right there.
Yep. Sticky thread. I'll kill you.
I noticed. I saw some clips of you discovering just how fucking outrageous that shit is.
Yeah.
You're dancing around like a jackass. I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. You love dancing around like a jackass.
The fucking battle aura that comes from Yakuza is just.
Oh yeah, they're giving off some kind
of
some kind of battle smell. But yeah, it's interesting times. We're living in a society and whatnot.
Yeah. What I used to like. You must have seen the collections. You must have seen the collections of like every what do you call it? How do I put this? Every time you saw a layer of like, it's gonna be this that saves him though, right? It's gonna be this that turns over the election, and then that thing falls apart. And then Ocelot runs a little further back to the next platform, and then the next thing falls, and then they run to the next one.
Hey, stop that!
Oh, stop the puppy.
Oh,
did he stop?
He was eating a piece of his bone that he ate earlier.
Okay, all right. Right. So when you go from everywhere, starting from stop the count all the way down, and then it's like, no, it'll be the Supreme Court, and then you edit all your Wojak memes and you get them all out, right? There's a point where, like, it goes from that generalized, like, I've edited my bearded yes guy to be carrying a briefcase to the Supreme Court, and that means I'll feel good about this. And then that didn't happen, and then nothing else happened, and every other thing just turned out to be complete nonsense. And when you're on, like, step 30, the tone takes a shift, right? And the tone takes a shift for the queue, and it starts becoming a lot more like, look to the skies, the secrets will unfold, you will see things, and it always says things are going to happen faster than you can possibly imagine. But don't worry, hold the line, Peds, hold the line, you know? And
so
it starts to get so unhinged and straight up mentally ill at a point.
Tag me in on this.
Tag.
Okay. So, I could feel where you were going on this. You're describing disassociation with reality. You're describing like almost communal narcissism, right? But more importantly than that, there's a term not from psychology but from critical thinking. It's called magical thinking. Do you know about The Secret?
Wait,
tell me about The Secret, Woolie.
The term is magical thinking.
Yes.
Okay.
How familiar are you with The Secret?
As in like the Oprah thing?
Yes, the book, the self-help book.
A family member of mine got really into it, and she would make her vision boards.
Okay,
That's about
great.
as much
Perfect.
as I know.
Do you know what the secret is?
If you think about it, you can make it real.
If you think about it, you can make it real. That's the secret.
Mm-hmm.
That is the definitive example of magical thinking, and it is very, very appealing. If you just want it bad enough, it will happen.
Mm.
Because you're a good person, and you're doing a good job, and you don't mean harm on nobody. So if you just want it bad enough, the universe will just provide for you.
It will provide it. It will provide it. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of victory. Ashalala pala bopa bata
Now
hatta 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 hota.
This is the kind of thing
Yes.
that
Yes.
you can
Okay.
apply
Right.
to certain religious groups.
Right.
You can
Right.
apply it
Right.
to
Correct.
honestly, what I would call the religion of money. You could apply it to like Wall Street people, and the market will provide. When I hear the phrase of the market will provide,
Mm-hmm.
that might as well be a priest speaking Latin to me, right? That's weird shit. That's like the fucking free market has like a fucking invisible force or some shit. The fucking hand of the free market shit.
Fuck your driver's license, bitch. You don't need
It's
that shit.
it's
Go
also
on.
cult shit.
Go on.
And a lot of what I see, my initial immediate brain thought is cult. Is magic thoughts and cult. And then I see, you saw that copy pasta, I'm sure.
Which one?
Oh god, I'll go fucking drag it up. The one Gene retweeted.
I probably have, but it depends on which one you're talking about.
Oh god, I'll have to fucking it's the like we're gonna fight the revolution, and then like 10 minutes later the glorious leader is like begging to be let back on Twitter. The glorious leader that you photoshopped into 40K memes.
Oh, yeah. No, okay. So honestly, half that shit that Gene's posting is stuff that I went and saw myself on the boards.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know? Yeah, totally. Geodis.
But
Geodis is the term. People didn't know about Geodis. I remember I introduced that. I explained that to Punch Mom and Reggie at the same time, and they fucking just jaw dropped like, what? And it's like, oh, you didn't hear about the God Emperor of the United States?
Oh man,
you missed out. You know, yeah, and not only that too, but like, you hit up against it if you ever decide to seek it. You just gotta search for. I mean, like hashtag QAnon isn't gonna give you anything. You gotta find the proper WWG1 WWGAWW, right?
ugh.
But that has since gotten edited down because I think those get cleared out every once in a while. But the term is where we go one, we go all. And originally, that was the hashtag for finding Q shit. And the best edits of Trump armor with a burning sword and fucking angel wings on his back. But then they edited it down to add worldwide because Twitter got on that, and then the G, and then the G1, and all the variants within. But that's how you had to find it. But it was there. It was certainly there, yes. Seeing the rabbit hole in its truest form and the depths that you thought were infinite, but they're not that infinite, really. They're not. It's not that it goes so deep that you can't see the bottom. It's more like Area 5-2 in Demon Souls, where it's just like ankle deep, but it sucks for a long period of time.
It's a lot of ankle deep.
Wide. It's wide as fuck.
Oh,
but
stinky.
It's ankle deep. It's the fucking Valley of Defilement, dude. Yeah. Yeah.
It's smelly.
Oh, 1 second.
I was looking at I was enjoying myself a new Twitter account earlier that is a compilation of people finding out that they're on the no-fly list.
Oh, no fly Twitter. Yes, no fly list is a new
Oh,
account on Twitter. Hashtag no fly list for some videos.
oh,
Uh,
it's
yeah, yep.
it's some fucking hilarious shit.
Hmm.
Watching a bunch of grown men start like burst into tears because they're gonna go to jail.
Bruh.
On that Twitter, it also actually there was a network analyst that, well, alleged network analyst, right, that discussed that apparently the Capitol building has its own cell tower, which
Okay.
means that if your cell phone was on your person,
Ping,
they know.
ping. Hmm.
So
Yeah.
oops. So like everyone's gonna go to jail. Um,
Um, they
oops.
also have the ability to
Oops.
create mobile. There's a thing that allows them to create a mobile false tower that can ping
Hmm.
phones in an area to get you. And they basically a recent article came out about how that's how they found Ghislaine Maxwell, was by
Well,
doing a false tower ping and then seeing where her phone was. So that shit is like, yeah, 100% listed in. You're like, it's all you're on a fucking list somewhere, man. But hey, it's okay because really, uh, when you start a revolution and a little bit of pepper spray gets in your eye, the revolution's canceled.
you know what I gotta say though. Hold up. You know what? You can you hold it for a second? I'm just gonna get something to drink. I'll be back in a
Yeah,
second.
sure. There was a really great tweet. Oh, one second. There was a really great tweet that popped up that I found to be, again, alongside this no fly list stuff, interesting, where they were basically describing. So some folks decided to get on a plane and go over to the Capitol during the, what should have taken half an hour to sort out all the electoral votes, and then ideally stop it and perhaps even in the process upset the entire thing, possibly install their own solution, whatever the conclusion was to be. But folks thought they were going to go in, do that, change history, and then get back on the plane on Sunday and get back home to go back to work. You were gonna you fly down to Washington, change history, and come back home in time to catch Monday Night Football.
I would like to role play a conversation that I'm going to imagine happened at least 500 times today with you, Wooly. I'll start. You'll be playing the role of my boss. I'm calling in. Boop, 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 boop. Hey, Wooly. Yeah, I know it's Monday and I know it's around 3 p.m. I'm really not going to be able to make it today. I'm stuck somewhere.
Oh, that sucks. Sorry to hear. What happened?
Can't go into it. I'm just stuck in DC. Um,
DC. That's really far.
yeah, no, I was flights are canceled or whatever. I can't
Yeah,
it
yeah.
I don't know when I'm going to be able to come back to work. Is
Flights
that cool?
flights are canceled, you say?
Yeah, they're canceled. They're very canceled.
So what do I do
No
about your
flight.
shift? What do I do about your shift?
I'm
Tell you what,
oh, I'm
I'll
getting
leave.
a lot of static. Oh, I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to call you back.
Tell you what, I will make a permanent opening in your shift. How about that?
Getting a lot of static.
Big static. Yeah. Yeah.
But that segues perfectly into what I was going to say before I got the drink, which is there is good news for everyone. And I do say everyone because, by the way, I actually really like our American friends and our American audience. I very
Well,
much
yeah.
like at least one American very much.
I hope so.
Got a really nice rack. But anyway, these ne'er-do-wells, I gotta say, I know a little bit of history. You read up on the rise of fascism and communism in all these states, right? This one is slightly different because, boy, are they not sending their best and brightest. Get into the building. Get into the seat of government. Get into what was then thought the Speaker of the House's office with an unsecured computer. What to do? I'll take a photo for Twitter. All right, I'm good. I'm gonna go home.
Selfies, bro. You stay between the velvet ropes as you march through, and then you get there, and then you're like, "Hey, we got the number." Live stream.
Out of all
for the
of it, I have
memes.
to say, maybe it's my personality. Maybe I'm focusing on the wrong thing. But I look at this and I go, these are actually the dumbest motherfuckers to ever enact any attempt at shit. Literally standing on the podium, taking fucking promo pictures.
Yeah.
And then leaving before doing anything.
Yeah, and there's video where they're like, "Hey man, we got all night and we got till tomorrow to figure it out, so don't worry, we'll figure out what we're gonna do," said somebody inside, right? But here's the problem though, like, there's that meme, the image of, I forgot who it was, where it's just like, now you look at that and tell me that's not a psyop, where you kind of have that, right? You have this ridiculous, like, group of people taking their pictures, and those are the selfies and videos and streams that hit the internet first, where you kind of saw all of that wacky shit. And then you see again that other officer that like led everyone up the stairs and then faked the direction towards the speaker's house, and then towards the Senate and then back or whatever. But like, alongside all that goofy shit that you saw, there was also dude hopping seats with restraining fucking
zip
ties in his hands with a gun on his fucking, holster.
Now
there was also dude who got fucking hit in the head with a fire extinguisher and died. That was a cop.
That's right. Yeah.
Then there was other cop who was crushed between a door as some 50 to 100 people heave-hoed on each other's backs to try and crack past where the barricade was, not realizing they were like crushing a human being. And like at some point they basically stop, I would say 2 or 3 more heaves before they like just split the dude. A brutal fucking crazy video of that. And then again, I go back to the fact that there was a van and explosives that were found. So all in all, there's a wild, crazy thing where you had both the Viking taking his selfie and literal explosives there. And I would say that the literal explosives and guns and zip ties were more so the reason why the people in the chamber had to hide beneath their chairs and put on gas masks.
Now, to be fair, Woolie, Mr. Zip Tie, in fact, there were 2 Mr. Zip Ties, just got arrested, literally.
Yeah.
And according to them, they were not, in fact, wandering around a government building with zip ties and a handgun to take hostages and kill people. They actually found those zip ties on the ground and picked them up so that other bad people could not use them to do that.
That is how fortunate and wise of them to do that. Selfless they are.
And they explained this while in custody to some people that I'm sure took them very seriously.
Yeah. There was also the cell of people that were specifically there chanting "Find Mike Pence," and so what you have in this gathering is truly the marketplace of ideas, because some people were pushing in to get that selfie with the dude in the front, and others were there to get on Pelosi's phone, and then yet others were there with the fucking weapons. So it was all, a mixture of intentions to To which the response, again going back to the forums and such, was there were some people that were like they should have got in and nailed a list of signatures to the door in protest and then left, and it's like, yeah, that if that's what you want.
I mean, that works fine if you want to create Protestantism in like 800 years.
But unfortunately, that was 5 bodies ago. So you just can't, like. Anyway, it gets to a point where, as I was describing that pathway into magical thinking, right? You see people who either embrace magical thinking, or then those who are like, what can I salvage here? I have a check mark. I'm listed as a member of the government. How do I salvage the situation? What can I do? And then that's where you see the everything was awful. That was a terrible idea, even though that same day I went down there and continued to push the agenda. But
yeah, there's a lot of disuse on this.
But hey, now would be a great time for that unity that you guys were talking about a minute ago, and just there's infinite disuse in the form of like, hey, remember when you were like not tied to any of this and you were telling the truth about what you thought of your opposition when you were trying to become president yourself? Remember what you said about Trump when you were trying to be the candidate, and then you basically
I can't hear you over my own call to trial by combat.
Right. So
maybe it's because I'm far away. Maybe it's because I'm dissociated. Maybe it's because I'm a psychopath. But all I can think of is like the hilarious fucking cringe out of all this shit.
Yeah,
like a fucking 80-year-old fucking dumbass lawyer going, "We gotta have a trial by combat." Like, oh, cool, let's get the dueling swords out, bitch. That would be sick.
Klingon Warblade.
Yeah, get a Batleth out.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, hey.
Best of luck to all of our pals down in the U.S. I hope you didn't find it too condescending to have the Canadians laughing.
Oh, it definitely was.
But it's fucking crazy right now.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy. I was talking to
somebody earlier this morning who needs American TV when you have America on TV.
Well, reality is the most interesting form of fiction currently running. There's nothing better that anyone's writing right now than like literally the history that we are watching. But yes, and I also bid a adieu, farewell, and all the best to the many who have hit their breaking point with this discussion topic being brought up, and with our decision to not necessarily eggshell around it. And I hope you find yourself some more interesting things to listen to in the future. I'm sorry that your opinions don't allow you to hear things you disagree with and be entertained.
It's funny because, and as content creators, it's funny. A friend of ours actually said, "How come people don't use the term artist anymore? Is that too pretentious? Is that why they use content creator?" I'm like, oh my god, I have met plenty of content creators that will use that term in the snobbiest fucking way, worse than artiste or whatever. But anyway, as content creators, or personally as a content creator, I don't like to talk about politics. I don't think it's particularly fun or engaging, and I don't think a lot of people come to this podcast or
no, that's not
my stream
show up. And I'll tell you what, I certainly did
talk shit about such and such candidate or such and such policy. I don't think I'm particularly well educated on that either. But on the other hand, are you seeing this shit? Holy fuck! Wow! You seeing this? Jesus Christ! That's what I have to say about the.
That's about it. That's correct. That's. That pretty much sums it up. Yeah. You know? And like, dare I say that, like, I want to imagine, like, here's the thing is I want to imagine that, like, let's say we're talking about, whatever the fuck, docket says, Ever Crisis has been announced, right? So let's say let's say we start up and then we start talking about Ever Crisis, and we're discussing what the implications of that could be. In the background, you should be hearing that yell, like, of the sound of someone watching a TV, like, in the room right over, muffled, holy fuck! Whoa! You know, and just, it's like, no, we're talking about the new video game. Never mind that.
So I was like, I was
streaming. Yeah, we were streaming during
I
was literally streaming.
You were streaming earlier in the day.
Yeah.
And I was streaming later in that night. And there was the moment where I went live. I'm like, as I went live, it seemed to be the start of the calming down process, right? But it was extraordinarily possible that I could be live and at 8:29 p.m. on a Tuesday while I'm playing my Star Wars game, somebody in the chat goes, X is dead, or a nuke just blew up, like, fucking whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could have been anything.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not gonna fucking tell me that I'm supposed to sit there and see that shit pop off in my chat and be like, you guys need to hit emote only mode. Okay, so wow, you sure got a lot of dark side points for this fucking dancing quest with the Twi'lek, huh? Oh, the swoop racing coming up next. Oh, look at the swoop go.
In conclusion,
woo fast.
In conclusion, brownface, not that bad.
You know,
we could have another. He could have a couple more. He's got at least 8 other brown faces in him before it starts approaching.
You know what? We've
concerned
made fun of
territory.
Let's give them one of ours. There's a problem most Americans don't know about Canada, because Americans don't know about Canada. That's the main that's the reason. But there is a legitimate problem that a lot of things that happen in Canadian discourse and politics have, where we'll be talking about something, such as the fact that our prime minister is a recreational black and brown facer. Serial black and brown facer.
Habitual.
Loves it. Right? And you'll go, I don't know about that guy. I don't know about that. That seems fucked up. Right? And even from me, even from you, Woolie, there is a time when you look at that shit and you just turn your gaze south and you go, well, hey, at least we're not doing it like the fucking Americans are doing it. Oh, thank goodness. And then you just stop having the conversation.
I would have our boy Rock Brown for the rest of his term. However long that may be.
In Parliament. Like,
yes. Like permanently.
Yeah.
You know, standing up in the House, in all of it. I want to see it.
Against his will.
I would have that. I would take that in a heartbeat. The true Ever Brown. Yeah. In retrospect and comparison, not that bad.
Here's the interview with the lady Prime Minister, Sophie, about how she applies the Prime Minister's makeup in the morning prior to going to Parliament.
Parliament is really, you know, and then having those rousing moments and rousing, stances and loud outbursts. as the Tories and the NDP get on about their business. But
hey, man. While we're on the topic, kind of. How you enjoying this fucking curfew?
shit sucks, dog.
So a lot of you folks don't know, but Quebec, due to the non-stop infinite climax that is our rising COVID numbers, the Quebec government has said, all right, we asked you to stay home. You didn't stay home for shit. You're all assholes. So you're getting a full-blown, for-realsy ass curfew with a shit zillion of rules.
One of which, however, is that dog owners may take their dogs for walks.
That's right. Dog owners can't take their dogs for walks.
And...
No? Okay.
Just
and it doesn't matter if you're walking your husband on a leash and tell the police that it is in fact okay. They will still fine you $3,000.
Yep.
If you're in the West End of Montreal.
You can go, I think it's like up to 3 kilometers or something, whatever the radius is. But like you can walk your dog, at which point then I did not see it for myself, but I was told that Kijiji immediately had dog owners renting their dogs out for walking.
Oh, gross.
To nearby people who would want to borrow one if need be. Also, shout outs to the footage of Laval come 8 p.m. where someone broadcast a purge siren in the streets to signify the curfew being on. You know, there's nothing to let you know that you're not supposed to go outside, like the fucking death wail of the purge siren. Good stuff.
So here's a fun one. So as you are well aware, my wonderful and beautiful significant other, Peach Saliva, has a back made out of tinder and string and what is it, a sick child's wish? Yeah. And thus needs to be medicated at times so that she does not die from the back of pain. Well, we ran out of those pills, so she had to go to the pharmacy to get more pills. Now, going to the pharmacy is a-okay breaking curfew thing. You are totally allowed to drive to a local pharmacy and get your medicine as the pharmacies are still open. Well, this led to the discovery, oh man, they are taking this curfew fucking for real seriously. Cops followed her the entire trip, both ways. And as you would pass car after car after car being ticketed and being stopped at the side of the road.
People getting, wow, okay. You see, right before this happened here, my mom called me from Grenada and told me about their curfew. Did I already talk about this? I think I already did.
I don't remember this.
She told me about her curfew because Grenada went into lockdown, and it was like Grenada was fine. They were basically COVID free, but then there was a single resort that had people that were allowed to come in without being tested because the people on the resort were not supposed to be allowed to leave the resort. But so the people who would come in, they had this bullshit system where they're like, no one taking these cruises or going on these trips wanted to deal with the testing, and furthermore, the staff that was then enacting COVID measures, customers were complaining about the fact that that the staff was being so distant and was being cold and right. Really? So then the fucking resort reverses those measures, and then the staff gets infected, and then re-trigger a wave in Grenada through this one stupid fucking resort because of shitty customers. You know, and like, if your government allows that to happen, what the fuck are you doing? Anyway, all that leads.
this Quebec curfew, there's no fucking there's no data that says that fucking limiting the times people can be out does shit. Like,
Um,
it seems like a fucking knee-jerk ass reaction.
yeah. So, but just all that to say, well, one, fuck sandals resorts in the islands in the Caribbean.
Yes,
If you
dude,
happen
yes.
if you happen to be going to Barbados, Trinidad, Grenada, I believe there's one on Martinique as well, but I'm not 100%. Anyway, fuck sandals. But second, yeah, that they got their curfew on, which was the cop cars slowly rolling through the streets in every neighborhood, just to pumping the gas very slowly, and like more or less walking a guard path throughout the entire island, but I haven't looked outside to see what it's like out here for us. But yeah, I think it fucking sucks, and I think it's stupid because it's like, again, it's that thing of like, oh yes, so like COVID clearly is it comes out at night mostly. What? No.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like the
You
Quebec
know?
government. I mean, here's some local politics. I don't think the Quebec government's doing a very good job with the COVID thing. I don't think this curfew is going to actually do much to curb the fact that I don't think they're doing a very good job with the COVID thing.
I mean, ultimately, they did pretty much say that, like, hey, people that are doing their part are doing their part, but people that are not doing their part are the reason why we got to put this in place.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
I mean, it appears to be that for a lot of first world countries that have a lot of folks that have never gone through serious ass hardship, you hit a certain amount of months during of, hey, fucking chill out, don't do that, and then they just all decide to give up.
There
Like,
there was a
looking
moment.
down my street and watching people have parties on my street, just like,
Mhm. There was a moment when I thought that, like, I went, oh fuck, North America is about to become like Asia, and we're gonna all be that, like, mask wearing culture from here on out. There wasn't
I
there was
will.
well, yeah, but like there was a moment where it seemed like that was about to happen, and then the confusing messaging occurred, and then it had time to get distilled into the purest political forms, and now we have this god awful version of events. But I kind of was the moment when it first started, I was like, damn, I guess, yeah, that whole thing of like, oh, you feeling a little under the weather, throw a mask on and go to and go about your business in that method. And it seems like now it's like, yeah, that is a permanent fixture, but only with a percentage of the population. you know it is quite interesting to see the effect that the championing of individuality versus the championing of harmony creates when it comes to these types of moments in history. Where the cultural belief 100% affects how the crisis is handled. Ideology becomes like physically manifest.
Mm-hmm. Tired of this shit. Just hit me with that needle.
Gaming podcast turns political. Ruh-roh. Anyway, anything going on?
Gaming podcast turns political.
Yeah, political. Mm-hmm. It's life. It's literally just life. It's what your lives are. It's what my life is. It's what your life is.
I saw something that I wouldn't say that it made it click, but it gave me a perfect reason to like actually say it out loud, which was if you're gonna pretend that none of this shit is happening, who are you actually making it easier on? Right? When COVID happened, I originally thought that I should not talk about COVID during my streams because people are fucking stressed out enough about COVID and all
I was
that
gonna
shit,
say,
and that they would want to not hear about that crap.
yeah, I was gonna say
they're going to relax.
way more valid than like a person who gets upset at your take is people who are just like, oh God, I need a reprieve from that.
Right. But this is a good non-political version of this that will work better as an example, right? And I'm like, well, okay, I'm gonna keep my stream clean of the COVID thing, and then people will be able to come to it to relax. And it turns out that doesn't relax anyone. That doesn't make anybody feel any better, because all anybody talk in that first fucking 3 weeks in my chat was COVID and how fucking terrified of COVID they were. So who the fuck am I helping by pretending it didn't happen?
Here's a telling moment. Have you had have you had a day where you were streaming and you were doing your business and like you're just like in your head you're like, I can't wait to get off stream and check the news updates and find out what the fuck is going on? Have you had that moment?
I had that moment 3 nights ago on Friday.
Exactly, right?
I had that moment where I saw somebody who was a long time viewer of my stream go, dude, you got to get on Twitter right now. Somebody is ban evading.
Yeah.
And I just like saw that and my eyes went real big and I'm like, I gotta get on Twitter right now.
Yeah. So it's just like it cannot be circumvented. It is taking up the entire hallway, you know.